Hey everyone, welcome to another HBCU conversation here on HBCU Game Day. Everyone is stuck in the house, they're working from home, but we use technology to talk to the people that you want to hear from. One of those people, the athletic director at Alabama State University down in Montgomery, Ms. Jennifer Lynn Williams. Ma'am, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us here at HBCU Game Day.
I am doing well, considering the circumstances, of course, adjusting to what I like to say our new norm, but, staying positive, staying safe, optimistic about what's to come, but really, really missing our student athletes as well as our spring competition. So, trying to stay busy. It's pretty much, we look at it as business. We're still moving forward at Alabama State. It's just been a different way of moving.
Now, the springtime was your time to sting the competition. You know, you could almost write you guys in for men and women's track to bring home the championship. The title definitely has to go through you guys at the least. Baseball was on fire. Look, we can't control pandemics. That's out of our control. But that had to hurt because it's your time of the year.
Yeah, we are normally, historically, we've been extremely strong in our spring sports. We were looking forward to the spring. This is when we pretty much dominate, and we were expecting some really great things out of baseball. They had started with a really good start, as well as softball. Tennis has been dominant. I don't think they've lost a conference match. And then just looking track and field, Coach Bean has done a phenomenal job with that program in its entirety. And we were just really gearing up to finish strong going into the spring, because our goal and what our mantra and our mission, have been for this academic year was to win our 7th consecutive Commissioner's Cup. That would have put us ahead of Southern for most Commissioner Cups won. And that was the goal for our department, our coaches, our student athletes. So to have to cancel the spring sports, it really hurt. But at the end of the day, it's about safety. Our student athlete welfare is our number one priority, and it's at the forefront of everything we do here at Alabama State University.
It was very nice to see that the NCAA Council got together and they gave everyone back that year of eligibility for spring athletes. Mm-hmm. But is that challenging to make all that work? I know they left a lot of leeway up to the schools for how to fit that extra year in.
Yeah, I serve on D1 Council. I represent the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and the biggest, what we talked about a lot on our pre-call as well as the actual call was flexibility. We wanted to be able to leave flexibility at the member the institutions to be able to do what's in their best interest. The financial commitment, that was a big topic of conversation throughout our 3.5 hour long council meeting that a couple of weeks ago. But, at the end of the day, everyone pretty much agreed that rewarding and giving those spring sports student athletes their season of eligibility was the right thing to do, especially with the seniors. And, each institution is going to really have to look at their funding to see how to support that. Again, flexibility in how you award was key. That was a point that was emphasized in how much aid that you have to give as an institution. But, here at Alabama State, we're blessed. We looked at our roster size and, we're going to talk it through with our student athletes and gauge, as to who wants to come back and look at the funding that we've saved in different ways that we've kind of saved the money to be able to support their decision and what they want to do. But I think it's a win. At the end of the day, it's about the best, what's best for our student athletes and being fair. And a lot of these student athletes had prepared all through the fall semester and was just starting their seasons, was about to get into their conference play and had their seasons cut short.
And so that'll be, just to make sure I got it clear, so even freshmen, sophomore, juniors, as well as seniors will have the opportunity to gain an extra year?
Yep, they will be offered. So if you were an incoming freshman, you will be able to still have 4 seasons of competition.
Okay, all right, good deal there. You got a staff full of coaches who all of a sudden don't have access to their athletes. They've had to plan and prepare differently, virtually. They don't know when they'll be back. What if your conversation's been like with your coaches? Is like every other coach in America, kind of in limbo right now?
Yeah, we again, when we talk about being mentally strong and mentally tough, acknowledging that this is a hard time. That's the first thing, that we're all feeling the pain of not being able to move forward. All of my coaches are competitors. A lot of them are former student athletes as well. So we know that they're hurting as well. So acknowledging the feelings, providing them with resources and tools so that they can cope and manage what they're feeling, as well as the technological piece of it. I'm tasking my coaches with checking in with their student athletes through Zoom, through Google Meet, Hangouts, FaceTime, Group Me, whatever mode of communication, but it needs to be a little more frequent now because it's not in person. And we don't want our student athletes to feel as if they're alone. They're not alone in this. We're all in this together. So those constant touch points have been key, as well as just us, myself and my executive team checking in with our coaches, making sure that they're, still moving toward tangible goals. Because once this pandemic ends and we flatten that curve and can get back to some normalcy, we want to come out stronger. We want to come out bigger. We want to come out better. And so still looking at the big picture, what does this look like? Acknowledging that everyone is going through this and there is pain associated with it. But how do we talk through that? How do we give our student athletes and coaches the resources? And then how do we look at our strategic planning for the 2020-21 academic year? That's been what I've tasked my staff with. And we're just trying to be a supportive family. When I think of our athletic department, the word that comes to me is, to my mind, is family. And we're here for each other. We check in, text. It doesn't have to be anything formal or scripted. If my coaches need something, they know that they can reach out to myself or our executive team, which are the sport administrators for a lot of the teams that we sponsor.
Talking with Jennifer Lynn Williams. She's the athletic director at Alabama State University. Where do you lean on for your leadership as the leader of the department? I mean, there's not many books that have written about here's how you lead during a pandemic.
Right. I'm blessed that my faith. I'm naturally, I'm a big believer, and I am just a optimistic person in general. But I also am lucky to have a circle of administrators where we can talk and bounce ideas off each other. And there's no right answer right now. This is the first time that we're living through this. This will go down in history. I never thought that as athletic director, I would be talking about how do we navigate through a pandemic. But that's where leaders step in, and that's when they perform. And I also believe, my time as a student athlete, I was a captain for 2 years at the University of North Carolina, and it prepares you to take the lead and to move forward and to overcome in adversity. And so I do think my time as a student athlete has prepared me to be able to be the leader and to be that system of support for my staff and my student athletes, because I don't have the answers. I never claim to have it. I'm just really extremely blessed to have a circle of administrators as well as the leadership at our university. My president has been awesome through this time, very transparent. We meet every day with check-ins with cabinet as well as our weekly cabinet meeting, which is scheduled. But he's letting us know, and we're talking through situations and how we move forward. So everyone's being transparent. I think that's a really key factor in being a leader, is transparency. And then also leading from a place of love. People have to know that you care. And I work with people who I believe and know care about Alabama State, our students, and the faculty and the staff. So I'm comfortable making the decisions that I make because I know that we're putting everything out there and we're looking at the best overall scenarios for our institution.
So it's so fluid right now. Look, I keep my fingers crossed every day that, when the fall gets here, football will start on
Mhm.
time and everything will return back to, quote unquote normal. But with you having to make these strategic decisions, are you thinking like, okay, here's my plan if this happens. Here's my plan if that happens. Like, do you have to almost keep a lot of things fluid on your whiteboard in your office?
Yeah, it's a lot to consider because right now, again, that's why I talk about being flexible. We don't know when the curves are going to go down. And I can take Alabama, for example. We didn't receive testing until late. When you look at the overall time that the pandemic started. And so our curve may just start to peak this week or next week. I pray it doesn't, but every state is different. And so, we're going to have to plan for, we may not be able to get our students back on campus until that second semester of summer school. Things may be delayed. How does that affect you with your guarantee games? Most schools that look like us, your limited resource institutions, we have our guarantee game scheduled pretty much in the beginning of our schedule. So how do we look at if those don't happen, if that doesn't come to fruition? Where can you pick up the slack financially? So we are looking at the numbers. We're looking at how we allocate certain funding, talking to our coaches about spending. But it's really, you have to have different plans because you don't know. And then another thing people have to consider, how do we manage crowds when people come back? That's really been at the forefront of my mind, is that once we open our stadiums, open our venues, open our campus back, how do we manage these crowds coming back so that they feel safe, so that we are not, spreading if the virus is still out there. We don't know so that we're making everyone feel safe. What does that look like in terms of how we clean our facilities? Hand sanitizer, signage, where we keep with the social distancing. So looking at everything in totality, it's been a lot, but you have to start thinking. You have to start thinking that way because we're going to have to navigate through this. This isn't just a summer thing. This is going to affect our landscape for months to come.
I tell you, Jennifer, the only place I go now is the grocery store, and you just look at people so differently now. If you hear a cough,
Yeah.
who is that coughing? Like, sometimes you might feel a little cough, and it's not the corona cough.
Yeah.
It's just every once in a while you got a cough, and you're like, man, I got to swallow this one.
I had to put out a disclaimer. I have allergies really bad, and I'm originally from Michigan, so when I moved down here, it's just they've been crazy. And so I have to put out a disclaimer. This isn't a COVID cough. This is like me or sneeze. Like, I'm really just my allergies. So you are looking at people. I even know that I try to stay fit and I'll go run. And, I approached an elderly couple out walking together 2 days ago, and I slowed down my workup because I didn't want to pass them. I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. So it is certain things that you're thinking about. 2 months ago, I would have just made a C line and a C move and just went around them. But you think about things like that. And, this pandemic has definitely changed the way our society is going to move as we navigate through this in months to come.
There have been reports where people have suggested or talked about playing football in the spring if it's really compromised in the fall. Is that something that you think is feasible for everyone, or is that a super challenge to try to play football in the spring?
We talked about it. I saw the article that came out. If that's what it comes down to, we're going to find a way to make it work. And I'm pretty sure other athletic administrators will feel the same. But will it be a challenge? Absolutely. Does that mean that we kick off with just basketball? Does everything kind of stop and start in January? Your spring has so many different moving parts with that's pretty much the heaviest part, that spring season. So how do you incorporate football into that? It'll be a lot of more conference calls, a lot of more group chats with administrators. But I know that if it came down to that, moving football to the spring, we'd figure out how to get it done.
And on top of all this, You've got to hire a basketball coach. So that's like
Yes.
one more thing on top of your to-do list. But is it easier because you're going to know these people that are applying? You're going to know the resumes of the finalists. Just being able to FaceTime or pick up the phone and interview people, is that part at least a little easier?
So, I mean, well, first, I want to, Coach Jackson, we thank him for his time with our university as a player and as a coach. And, he has developed and mentored some remarkable alums. So just wanted to thank him. But it is different. This hire is going to be different with the times that we're in. And, we had obviously you have a short list as an athletic director. Anyone would have that. But once it formally hit, there's been a lot of people reach out about this position. A lot of folks, highly qualified coaches who have inquired. And so not all of them were necessarily on our radar because some of these folks we wouldn't have thought would have been of interest. And then I think not having the Final Four obviously has a lot of coaches kind of what's the next thing. But, it's been a little challenging, but we're going to get through it. People have been flexible in terms of knowing how we're going to move in terms of the interview process. It's going to be Skyping, FaceTime, Zoom calls, Google Meet, but that's what it's going to go to. I'm not the only one that's hiring right now. I'm seeing people being hired kind of left and right, but it's different. Like I said, everything's different. I talked to my staff once again about adapting and being flexible, and hopefully the candidates that we decide to talk to, they're going to have to be flexible as well, because you just don't know how our landscape is going to change. And it's just a different time that we're in right now. And so making sure that everyone is open-minded and willing to try things and step outside their comfort zone when it comes to technology, that's a big plus right now.
Hey, here's some unsolicited advice. When you get your interviews down, give them a 35-second shot clock, and they just give you an elevator pitch on why they're the coach.
Yeah, the elevator speak, that's the key. That's with anyone I bring in. I need to know why. You should know your why you want to be at Alabama State. That's a little bit of advice. If you're watching this and you've applied for the job, have an elevator speech if you get the call that we're going to talk to you. But no, in all seriousness, I like the shot clock piece. We do that with anyone we bring on. You got to know why. Alabama State is a very special place. A lot of special people here, a lot of history. So we want people who want to be here, and it's about fit. Everything's about fit. I have a rock star staff, administrators and coaches, and we have the best student athletes. And of course I'm biased, but we have the best student athletes around. And so we have to make sure we get it right, and we will. I'm confident that we're going to be able to move forward in the right direction here. We're just excited to get our student athletes back and just really want to see some sports. I miss it. I'm about to pull out my old highlight tapes and check those out. I miss it a lot, but it's something we never would have seen coming, but we're adapting, and I'm keeping my staff, in high spirits, and just talking to them every day, as well as checking in with our student athletes is what we can do right now.
So you have a young family at home. When you guys are trying to entertain yourselves and not drive each other crazy, what's your go-to binge content on TV or Netflix or whatever? What are you doing to kind of decompress a little bit?
Well, I'm working out more, running, and I know you with the miles. I've been trying to run, and I hate running. So for me, exercise has been kind of my go-to to help with some of the stress. Now, my daughter, she is addicted to Space Jam right now, and I don't know, like if I hear Space Jam one more time in my house, I'm going to have to turn it off. Like the whole soundtrack, everything is Space Jam right now. Michael Jordan, oh, mommy, he went to your school. That's what the conversation has been about. And then we're just like on karaoke. So I know we're driving my husband crazy because we have a karaoke machine, and we just use our garage to have our own little karaoke jam sessions, my daughter and I. Sometimes my husband joins, but not too often.
Yeah, we had a virtual game night with my brother and sister and my parents, and we played not Family Feud. We played Jeopardy. We did
Okay.
shared the screen on. It was a lot going on, but we did that last night. So it's
I like that. I like the Jeopardy. I know that people have been seeing like the club quarantines on Instagram.
oh
So
yeah,
these like little Zoom dance parties, which have been fun. And I tell music, music is a good way to kind of relieve that anxiety as well that people are feeling. It just takes you to a happy place. And so I know a lot of folks in my age range have been jumping on some of the club quarantine hashtags and lives, and that's been an outlet for them to kind of escape and have a good time during this
for
during the
sure.
pandemic.
For sure, and make sure you cash app your favorite DJ. It is all that music is not for free.
Yes.
They
No,
can go out and
it's
get
not.
that stuff. So make sure you
Yes,
support
yes.
the whole team. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for taking some time to spend with us. I know you are very busy. I like the background. I can say this: you have been the most professional setup out of all the people that I've talked to. You just came with it. You were ready with the Zoom. You got your background, so I can appreciate that.
We try. I can't take the credit for that. It's actually my sports information staff, director of strategic communication, Travis Jerome, and our marketing coordinator, Malcolm Gross. They are the ones that, came up with the lovely background here. So, yeah, for those who are interested, talk to them. They can get you some nice templates.
Look, I cannot tell that Travis has not been in the office because he's only called me like 20 times in the last couple of weeks. So he never takes a break. You're gonna have to force him
No.
to take
I
a break
know.
for sure.
I tell Travis, he's one of the hardest workers in our staff. Again, just blessed to be able to work with some dynamic people who understand the vision that I've put out there and work tirelessly to help us achieve that. That's a blessing. People say that they're lucky. I'm actually the lucky one because I work with some amazing folks. And yes, we're going to get through this. I tell people we'll get through this together as one. So we're going to keep moving.
Well, I am looking forward to the day that I can travel back to Montgomery again and spend some time with the Hornets. It's always great times, and even when it's hot, we enjoy it.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that for sure. Thank you so much
Well,
for
definitely.
spending some time with us today. She is Jennifer Lynn Williams. She's the athletic director at Alabama State University. This is HBCU Game Day, and you've been watching HBCU Conversations.